There are two gods that the black church, and I don't like to say black church because God don't divide his church black and white. We all are part of the church. But I'm saying it to give reference to the African American churches. Two gods that many are bowing to today, and that's the God of LGBTQ and the God of blackness. People have made a God out of color. In other words, I gotta be with my color. I gotta stand with my color, meaning I'll reject Christ. Color gonna get you in trouble. I'm not saying you don't love your people, but if my people go contrary to my convictions, I can't stand with you. Come on, somebody, say amen. Church is bowing to this LGBTQ thing. Yes, they are. I'm seeing it happen all the time. What they did, here it go. They pushed LGBTQ on black people. And now, in order for you to be in line with black folk, you gotta almost accept LGBTQ.
Hello. It is Monday Night Live, guys, and it's time for Pop in Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, along with my amazing co-host. Guys, we have a spectacular lineup for you tonight. All right, so as you can see, we are joined by, of course, Shelly E. Back with us because it's Monday night. We have Tyrone Keys from YouTube Soldiers of Finance. Also, guys, you know we talked about this last week. We have Jade Gillen with us. She is here to share her story. She had a viral video come out with Kari Lake last week, and so she's going to talk about all that and more. And then also we have Madeline Brame from Rescue Angel Consulting. And she spoke at the RNC convention out of New York City. She has a wonderful, amazing story for us tonight in what she's been going through. So we're talking about all of this and more. Before we get into it, I always say join the conversation by leaving a comment on YouTube or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. If you miss us here on YouTube, you can watch us on Apple Podcasts. You can watch us on Rumble, or you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the same name, Pop and Politics. Guys, we are an independent media, and if you want to support what we do, your super chats and donations go a long way in helping us produce conservative content. Any amount is appreciated. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that understand we are living in urgent times. There's a target on our backs because we choose freedom, but we must continue to stand. Let's stand together, subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, everybody, let's set it off. So I want to start off just by talking about that clip that just played. It really spoke, I feel, to a lot of what we, as many of us former Democrats, what the left pushes us to believe, that we must vote Democrat. And so I want to start off with you, Jade, tonight, talking about that, because you had a viral video. You were with Kari Lake, I believe in Arizona, and you talked about how the Democrat Party pushes us to vote for Democrats. I have a clip here before you begin. I want you guys to take a look at this if you haven't seen it already. This is clip number 3.
During COVID, I knew more of my white guy friends that lost their jobs than me and my black girlfriends. We are the same in this country. All these Americans want the same thing. We want safety. We want prosperity. We want peace. And the Democrats keep going back and look, check it out, right? I honor my ancestors and the people who fought for us to be in this room here today. No one is discounting what my people went through, but honor them by getting past it and invoking forgiveness in this culture. I'm so tired of being told I need to be afraid. I'm so tired that I need to be told all the time that I have to vote for the Democrats who have done nothing positive for my life at all. My life is totally worse than it was during the Trump administration. Yet I kept having, you must vote for the Democrats. We're told this as black people since we were a child. Let's honor our ancestors by doing better and honor them, because they're rolling over in their graves hearing the fact that Kamala Harris is having Megan Thee Stallion twerk and showing our bodies as these like just vessels of lust. That's not cool.
There it is. So I want to start with you, Jade. I mean, how did you get there? I mean, that was an awesome speech there.
Before I go on, I just want to give the glory to God, and I just want to thank y'all for being here tonight and, caring enough about each other to do this. We are warriors for Christ, and that's just where it is. I want to talk about that clip really briefly. That clip, actually, I've been listening to that pastor. I've been on a binge watch of his church. He is Apostle Alton Williams.
Right. Mm-hmm.
World Overcomers Church in Memphis, Tennessee. I wish I could get on a plane and go there now because he is so Holy Spirit filled. It's a really honorable man. And a truth teller, a veracity seeker, that's just what he is. How did I get there? A lot of blood, sweat, and tears and dancing with the devil for many years, honestly. I come from a background where I dabbled in witchcraft and the occult. I was addicted. I had nothing but infirmity. I spent a lot of my youth in and out of hospitals. I have avoided death twice. My past is very dark, and I've often heard that those of us who dabble in those things, we really have a heart for God, is really what it is. The heart is full of sin, and it's idolatrous, and it's always looking for something. And because we live in a fallen world, we're always going for the men, the drugs, the alcohol, the shopping, the pornography, anything but Jesus Christ, who's the only one that can save us. And so that being said, when you are like I was before I became a new creature, and you're full of trauma and guilt and pain, your schema about the world changes, and you're automatically seeking out other victims, other signs that you are oppressed. It's like your brain wants to reconfirm that for you. The Democratic Party, I believe, has kind of profited off of that.
Mm-hmm.
They have. When I was a Democrat, I was a miserable, suicidal, hot mess of a woman. I was not here, I was playing with death when I was a Democrat. And when I decided to accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, my politics just automatically changed. It comes with the territory. You value life and you become grateful. You want to become of service to people. And things like abortion just don't fit anymore. Things like hating your fellow white brothers and sisters just doesn't work anymore. You don't want to be negative. You don't want to look for those slights in the world. You just automatically want to do better. You want to work hard because you feel good when you've done a hard day's work.
Mm-hmm.
Not getting a check from the government. You feel good when you're like, I earned that. I did that. You feel good when you go to the gym and you lose that weight. You feel good when, you can earn a living to put nutrients in your body. It just all comes together. So the Democrats and the and Christianity, they just don't align. They don't share the same values.
I want to get you in here before I get you in, Madeline. I want to bring you in, Shelley. to respond to that, because I know you saw Jade's video, and you saw last week's show. We did have Chaotic Truth, who I think he's in the chat, who did push back, and he was saying we should be kind of gatekeepers and not he didn't believe Jade should be a part of conservative movement, the Republican Party. What are your thoughts there?
Look, my thoughts are, number one, there's no one person that gets to define who can be a Republican or who cannot be. That's number one. Number two, I don't know Jade personally, so I don't know. Well, I'm not going to say she's lying, but whether or not she is or her conversion is fully Republican or conservative, whatever that means, that's not for me to decide. But I do know this. There are millions of people who have left the Democrat plantation, whether or not they may have come to Christianity, or maybe they're just a conservative or Republican, whatever the case may be. But they have had an awakening moment of some sort on this path called life. So for Chaotic Truth, maybe, just maybe you can look for the truth and not stir up the chaos.
Ooh,
and you know what? Really, Chaotic Truth, I think it's ironic that you named yourself that, because that's what you manifest. See, only Jesus Christ knows my heart, okay? And he did make me a new creature. I've been a conservative and registered Republican for the past 4 years. That old life, that's the old life. And because of that, you're not going to get me. You're not going to bait me. You know what I mean? Chaotic Truth, come on now, really.
All right.
Your bitterness is not reflecting our movement well. That's for the Democrats. They do bitterness. They do anger. Okay. And feeding into that is not going to recruit any more souls, because you know how many women's hands I've held after they've had an abortion? It's not fun for them. Do you know how many women now that I know that are blood-born believers are now sharing testimonies as to why fornication is bad? See, liberals, they need a level of accountability. Yes, they do. We're not going to feed into their trauma and their drama and all their histrionics. But at the same time, there's a way to hold people accountable with love. But all that bitterness, it pushes people away. And it's why, people want to go vote for Kamala. These bitter women who are angry, they're like, we hate the patriarchy, and, babies are oppressive and stuff. It's men like Chaotic Truth that keep them there.
This is what I would ask Chaotic Truth. This is what I would ask him. Who in the Republican Party can he point to that does not have a past? Whatever that past may be. Who's he going to point to? I guess what? Not even himself. So then I would ask him, why are you in the Republican Party? I don't even have to know what your past is, but I do know as just a human being, you have one.
Yeah, and that negative energy, I'm actually decided I'm going to ignore him after this, because I didn't come here to fight. I came here to spread the message of healing, redemption. Look at Donald Trump. His past is quite a bit colorful.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, again,
God uses people for his glory. Okay.
Yeah, again, as I said last on Friday, was it Friday? I said, we're not gatekeepers here. And again, this is going to be a very close election. The Republican Party encompasses all types of people, shades and colors. I don't believe in watering down the message and watering down the ideology or the policy or the principles, but I'm not here, and I don't think anybody on this discussion is here to say you can't come in or you can't do this. If you believe in small government, if you believe in our closed borders, you believe in what else? What do you have to say about it?
Small government, less fewer spending, constitutional rights, First Amendment, Second Amendment. We can go down, keeping the Constitution that the people are where the power lies, not in the government and the big government. There are many things. Not only that, the Democrat Party, as it is today, largely represents chaos and destruction. Maybe that's what he's familiar with. I don't know. I don't know him personally, but I would even give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I mean everybody's allowed their opinion, but it's just that it's an opinion. So I want to move on to you, Madeline, because I want to change gears a little bit. And if you could just talk about how you came over to the Democrat Party, because you have a very storied past with Democrats, and then Alvin Bragg in New York City. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're on mute, Madeline.
Unmute me. Okay, now
there you are. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I am a former 45-year Democrat. Okay. I am largely from a Republican family. My mother, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. There was requirements in our household. We were raised in a conservative, environment. We believe in God and country and family. And there were two requirements. You bring mommy the high school diploma when you turn 17 or 18, and when you turn 18, you vote. Okay. And you don't lay around after high school. You either go to college or you go to the military. Mm-hmm. Right? So those are values that, were instilled in me from a little girl. However, my mother never told us who to vote for. She just told us that it was our constitutional. It was our civic duty, not constitutional, our civic duty to vote. So, everybody else around me was voting Democrat because if you're Black, you vote Democrat. No particular reason. I was never really that interested in the politics aspect of it. I just knew that, every year when voting season came around, we better get down to those polls and vote. Even when as an adult and we didn't live at home anymore, those are just the values that were instilled in me. So 45 years, voting Democrat until my son was killed in Harlem in 2018. And I found myself at war with an entire criminal justice system, the Manhattan criminal justice system. Alvin Bragg was not in office at the time. There was another district attorney. His name was Cyrus Vance, and he was a moderate Democrat. And he still, believed in prosecuting crime and holding criminals accountable, especially murderers. So, when Alvin came into office, he was handed this strong trial-ready murder case. And as soon as he got it, the case immediately fell apart. And there's 4 people responsible and involved in my son's murder. And all 4 of these people were charged and indicted with first-degree gang assault and second-degree murder. And there was never any plea deals. There were never any offers on the table. There was never any doubt in anything that these 4 people did because it was all captured on video. All right, so they had a clear video from all different angles. So
yeah, I actually have the video that when you were on Fox speaking of this. Yes. I believe we have the clip. Let's play this clip number 2.
Voting Democrat for generations, we have gotten nothing in return for our votes. Dilapidated housing, failing schools, crime, poverty, abortion, okay? On and on and on. But we continue to just give our vote away for nothing in return. And I'm going to quote something that Trump said. What do we have to lose by giving the other side a chance? How will we know what we're going to get when we never gave them a chance? Okay? We have nothing to lose. We don't have anything. All right? Welfare, food stamps, nothing. Unemployment, death, destruction, and self-decimation is what we have. And at this point, I feel that it's intentional. We have a mayor who comes to the hood only when he wants the votes. And he has completely abandoned the Black and brown community.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And Madeline, and you were talking about in that same interview how Alvin Bragg was totally messed up the case for
Yeah.
deceased son. And I'm sorry to hear about the
yeah, he totally dropped the ball on that. Prosecutorial misconduct.
Right.
Just yeah, and not just me. There are thousands of us. New York, Baltimore, Los Angeles, St. Louis, Chicago, anywhere where these failed bail reform and criminal justice reform policies were enacted, across the United States, you have the same thing that happened to me and my family with not getting the full justice and closure that our loved one deserved. As a matter of fact, one of the defendants, one of the homicidal maniacs, all right, who participated in the murder of my boy, will be getting out in a few weeks. Yes, after only serving 7 years. Alvin Bragg dropped the murder and gang assault against him and charged him with attempted gang assault when he's clearly on video participating and stopping my son from escaping. I'm holding him while his friend stabbed him, punching, kicking, stomping. He was fully engaged in that homicide. There was no such thing. He wasn't attempting to gang assault my son. Participating in that gang assault. But anyway, these are the bogus charges that Alvin Bragg has dreamt up. Just like the female, he charged her with assault with a shoe. He dropped her murder and gang assault charges and charged her with assault with a shoe, and she only did 14 months. All right. Wow. So I'm in the process now trying to contact once again the district attorney's office and find out, where is this person going to be released to? Back to the same community, stand in front of the same liquor store and get a bottle of Henny, all right, and drink that and drink to the point of inebriation, where he becomes this violent homicidal maniac again and jump somebody else and beats them and participates until they're dead. Is this person going to be on any type of supervised release? What are the safeguards in place for me and my other? I have adults. I have adult men. All right, sons. All right, it's setting them up. It's setting my boys up. I'm not saying that they're going to do anything, but I don't know what's going on in their mind. That's their brother that was killed in cold blood. And here we got somebody being released only after 7 years.
That's terrible. And when you contrast that to what we've seen play out in the New York City court system with Trump and how they've used all this money and time and energy to go after Trump for a victimless murder. I'm sorry, victimless
crime. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I want to get you in here, Tyrone. You've heard these two stories and what's going on and how we've seen time and time again the Democrat Party has pushed us as a community to vote for them. What are your response to all of this? Oh, I think you're
muted, Tyrone.
I muted him. Yeah.
There you are.
Nope.
There we go. I first wanted to express my condolences on the loss of your son. It's very tragic indeed. We're talking about the spiritual aspect of this. And when you look at what the Democrats are, they're Marxists, okay? And Marxists tend to want to tamp down on religion, spirituality, and set up their own gods, government being the chief god. And then you've got a lot of demigods under that, like climate change, for example, all of the stuff surrounding race and ethnicity or ethnicity, because there's one race among humans, Homo sapien sapien, human beings. All of this feminism, that's another demigod. And that's typically what Marxists will do. And they're destroying the economy. Okay, that's clear. But they're also destroying the cultural and spiritual fabric of the nation. And disturbingly, a lot of people are falling under that spell. like the minister said at the beginning, okay, and you've got a lot of so-called religious institutions of all sects in America buying into this and watering themselves down in the process. Last thing I'll say is I have the utmost respect for all of those religious institutions that kept their doors open during the events of 2020, okay, and gave it as, I'm sorry?
Like John MacArthur.
Right. All of the, and I actually am on record as excoriating the Catholic Church. Well, I am a Catholic, okay, for closing their doors, bowing to governmental pressure. This is an institution that stayed open during the Black Plague, okay, but bowed to pressure under this regime, this Marxist regime that we see accelerating in its development here in the modern day.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is why in my speech I spoke about generational trauma. Okay, because on the supernatural realm, when you have trauma, you're more susceptible to Satan's tricks. This goes to the Marxism is basically like Satan's military government satanic. It's a satanic wing. Okay, the LGBT is the new religion. Okay, when Kamala Harris sits there and talks about, my body, my choice, what she's really talking about is killing children. These are all things that Marxism wants you to do. That's why they don't want you to be a Christian. That's why they kept the liquor stores and the weed stores and the strip clubs open during COVID. They want to replace our love of Jesus with all of these traumas and issues. They're linked and connected because I lived it. I lived that. It's something people don't want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've mentioned this.
Let me just say one quick thing. As far as, it's turning out that conservatism, I won't say Republicans, but conservatism is a better product. All right. So when you have a better product, you're going to have all types of individuals, all types of backgrounds come in to take part in that. All right. So some quarters of Republicanism and conservatism excoriated Amber Rose. But I'm like, wait a minute. What's up with the gatekeepers? This is something that the liberals do. I have to
say one thing, though. Here's the issue why I think it's okay for Amber Rose to be a Republican, but not a conservative. Okay. In my conservatism, which is really linked to my Christianity, we don't promote the slut walk that she has. She called Jesus Christ a cult leader. Okay. She's always, showing her body in very lewd and lascivious ways. And look, she's free to do that as a Republican, but as a conservative who values family and child preservation, those things do not link. They just don't. So I'm cool with Amber Rose. People got to start somewhere. What if she gets saved one day? Unlike Chaotic Truth, I'm not going to beat anybody up. I'm going to meet people to where they're at. And I'm going to show them how Jesus Christ can redeem them and how she's a beautiful daughter of Christ. She doesn't need to show, with a MAGA hat and a white bikini and her legs open and stuff like that. She doesn't have to do that anymore. But if she does, she's cool to vote for Trump and be a Republican, but not a conservative, because hypersexuality does not mix with child preservation. They don't mix. Can we see the correlation? If you're out here and
that's an important,
and you're fornicating and you're having sex outside of marriage, you're more likely to have an abortion. Okay, so again, I'm cool with Amber Rose.
Well, okay, about Amber Rose, we're not turning into Amber Rose show tonight.
No.
But
hold on. I had to make
that point.
One mic, you guys. One mic.
Before we go on, I do want to acknowledge super chatters because we have a lot here. So let me acknowledge super chatters here tonight, guys. Thank you so much. All right. So we have here, okay. Rhonda, thank you. Says my family doesn't understand me because I am voting for Trump in 2024. I told I'm voting for policies, not party. That's correct. Okay. That's what we like. Yeah. Chaotic Truth says, what's going on, guys? Yes, hi, Chaotic. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail, thank you. Thank you so much. Certainly appreciate you. Appreciate the super chats, guys. It goes a long way to helping us produce conservative content. Kung Fu CJ says, in order to usher in Marxism, they must collapse the economy and divide the people.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely.
And we talk about that
Yeah,
here.
I was just going to say that I agree with Jade that there needs to be a distinction drawn between Republicans and conservatives. They are not necessarily the same thing. Larry Hogan is a Republican. He's not a conservative.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
And the Amber Rose thing was pertinent to what I was saying. Thank you very much. It was pertinent. So go ahead.
I just wanted to jump in there real quick. As the state director, who here is familiar with Blexit?
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
I am the state director of Blexit, New York, right? I've been in that role for about 5 years, going on 6 years. And in reference to like the conversation of conservatism versus Republican, part of the challenges that I faced with trying to break into communities like Harlem, all right, and Brooklyn and the South Bronx and Queens with the message of Blexit, all right. People, first of all, associated it immediately with the founder, okay, and without saying her name, all right, we all know who that person is and what she represents. Okay, so it didn't go over well, all right, at all right. I had to go continuously and be consistent and going back, to different events and, speaking to different groups of people in order to break through that wall of, just the community completely shutting down and, being insulting and rude a lot. When I tried to go in and hold events and give out stuff or whatever, as soon as they saw the word Blexit, they immediately associated with racism. Okay, Coon, Uncle Tom, all of those things, right? However, the message of Blexit has nothing to do with politics at all. Right? So I had to learn how to thread that fine needle, all right, and package that message in a way that it started to resonate with people, all right. And as long as I stuck to the pillars, everybody wants school choice. Everybody wants to be able to send their child to a better school, right? Everybody wants, small business and entrepreneurship. Everybody wants different initiatives to help raise our communities out of poverty. And everybody wants, different programs and strategies to help our young people avoid incarceration. Those are the pillars of Blexit. All right. But you have to find a way to be able to communicate that with people on the ground, in the hood, in poor minority communities. I don't like to say black or white because, it's across the board. Anywhere where there's poverty, it breeds a certain thinking, attitude, and behavior. All right. Most conservative people, all right, would not even step foot in those communities. All right. They would never associate. They would never rub elbows with. All right. They would never sit down and have tea with. A lot of those people that, if we really want to be effective, all right, those are the communities and the neighborhoods that we need to go into. Like really, really boots on the ground. Get the hands really dirty.
Yes.
Real dirty. Down and dirty.
Let me just, if I could jump in. So we, Tyrone has mentioned it. Guys, this is all Marxism. From what you said, Madeline, about how you were received in these communities, Marxism has infiltrated every facet of American culture. Not just the churches. It has infiltrated our political system. It has infiltrated culture, movies, education. It has infiltrated it all. And this is not by chance, it's by design. I mentioned this before. The communists have a list that they put out back in 1943, I believe. It's 45 goals of the Communist Party. And everything that I just mentioned was one of their goals. One of them was to infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion, discredit the Bible, emphasize the need for intellectual maturity. That was number 27. They another goal of theirs was to discredit our Constitution. They want to tear down the family, traditional family, promote and present homosexuality, degeneracy, promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. I mean, the list goes on. This is all part of their program. And then the other part is when people like us speak out against these things and we say what it is, we speak truth and say these are not helping our community, they want to discredit us and call us coons and Uncle Toms and all of these types of things. So this is all by design. This is all by design.
And you know what? It was, you're right, KJ. It was all about design. And you mentioned the communist goals, but the communist goals, they gave us the goals. Saul Alinsky told us basically how to implement those goals in his book, Rules for Radicals, which is basically a Bible as well for the Democrat Party. But interestingly enough, all of this design, the thing is that as far as politics and communism goes, we were not supposed to come outside of that tent. We weren't. So we are not only an anomaly in that sense, we are also a threat. This is why they are going after our constitutional rights. This is why they want to keep Black people in particular in this bubble, if you will, where we don't think for ourselves. We wait for the handouts. We wait to be coddled by the government. We want to think that every white person is the devil in disguise. So these are the thinkings, and this is the mindset of the Democrat Party, and they really want us to reel back in. It's okay for us to go back to the Democrat Party, that would be fine. But to step out and say, no, we reject that. Oh, we're name called. We become the enemy number one.
And see, that's what was so cool about Kari Lake picking me of all people. Okay, just so you know, I am a working class schleck. I went to Trump's campaign opening in Phoenix in my scrubs because I'm in the healthcare industry. With my scrubs and my backpack, I'm not getting paid. I actually lost money doing that speech because I had a patient booked. I was able to move my other patients around, and then I had other ones. So I actually lost money doing it because that's how strongly I feel about the message that if you wind up healing what ails you and you get right within your politics and everything, if that healing bleeds out through, so then we can get to the point that everybody else is talking about. We need to start with foundation first. Like Miss Madeline's talking about all the traumas I go on in New York, where I'm from actually originally. You know, when you talk to these people, the sexual assaults, the domestic violence, all of that trauma, some of the stuff I've seen, the infirmity, all of it, we don't get to that first. If you don't look at to quote Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror first, none of this stuff matters. So that's what I mean. We have to start talking about healing ourselves first so we can bless the men, women, and children around us. So we can bless our countrymen around us, praise God. That's why all what we're saying are webs that tangle into fighting this Marxist agenda. I'll pass. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to acknowledge go ahead, Tyrone. Then I have to acknowledge super chatters here. Go ahead.
Sure. One of the other things you're seeing is, and this is very prevalent, bizarre, and just overt, is the left thinks at this point, all we've got to do is present a brown face. That's it. Okay. We don't have to do anything other than that. Now it's day 21. This is Kamala Harris's website. Still not one policy on it. All right. It's all donate, volunteer, about Tim Walz, about Kamala Harris. All right. 21 days in, right? Now, you can have someone running for dog catcher in your county, and they're going to have an agenda. Okay. No rabid dogs. Day one. You know, they don't even have respect enough for the constituency that they're going after, particularly blacks, to put an agenda. And you know, politicians lie, right? So it's easy for them to put up anything, but they don't even do that. Yet you have these functionaries like Joy Reid, like what's the guy's name?
Van Jones.
Yeah. Van Jones and Bakari Seller, right? They're on CNN. CNN's got to stand for crying Negro news. because all these grown men do is emote. No kind of substance, no rationale as to why you should vote for this person, other than you guys played it last week. I was in the debate with Billy Murphy, and he was incredulous that I wouldn't support her. And his fallback was, don't you know she's in a sorority? This is how ridiculous things have become.
It's so insulting.
Yeah, and speaking of CNN, there was a viral video I want to show you guys where they talk about we are not supposed to even ask Kamala questions. They don't want us asking questions because they don't believe she should have to answer questions.
Okay.
Take a look here. Actually, 1 second. Let me share my screen. 1 second. All right. Take a look here.
She's going to take questions. We're going to make sure of that.
Say this, like, don't nobody care but us about somebody taking questions. No, that is very true.
I speak to swing state voters all the time.
But
they have questions, they want answers.
No. But yes, they have questions, they want answers. But you know what doesn't have to happen? Audie doesn't have to ask those questions.
Yes, Audie does have to ask
those questions. Political does not.
Because when fans ask them, Bakari, when friends ask them, when surrogates ask them, they're not getting the real answer. That's why Audie needs to ask them.
This is so in the Beltway.
No, it really isn't. I'm telling you, Bakari, I speak to swing state voters every single day.
So that you can get amazing, handsome faces on CNN like me.
So you see there. Then they were arguing over whether it was valid to ask Kamala Harris questions regarding her campaign. How did we get here, Shelley?
Well, we got here. I'm going to say one reason is that, like that pastor said in the beginning, we are obsessed with race, particularly a lot of Black people. What I say most Black people, white people don't give a damn about you individually like that. There may be some, but just like there's some Black people who just don't care about white people. By and large, live your life. We are so obsessed with somebody who looks like me or doesn't look like me, but we take almost zero goose eggs like Kamala's site. We take almost zero time to really look into what it is these people are putting forth, white, Black, blue, or brown. But in this case, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, I call them Thriller and Killer. But they do. We take zero time, or they don't want to give us the audacity or even the courtesy to say that, you know what, I have an educated public. Let me explain my positions to them. No, they're just going to go on the hee-haw. They're going to vote for me on the hee-haw and, the feel-good, sound-good sounds of my rallies at these centers where I go. This is BS.
Yes, it is.
And
I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. We have some additional ones. Thank you guys so much. LAPD SWAT, thank you. He says liking or disliking TD is irrelevant.
Absolutely.
Vote for a president, not a friend or a drinking buddy. Your thoughts on Van Jones and April Ryan and her new book. Would you want your daughters marrying a Van Jones type of male?
No, not a beta male like that, always whining and crying. No, I'm sorry. No, see, that's the thing too. Shelley, I really like what you said before. So before we try to.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm going to say Jerry Early. I also want to
thank you, Jerry.
Thank you from Hawaii.
This is the thing, right? They have trashed masculinity. And that's part of why nobody likes Trump, because Trump is a man's man. You got a pretty wife. He's loud. He's rich. He's boisterous. He's a little knuckle draggy, but I want that in my protector. Okay. I want that in a man who's going to protect me and my people. But, we've got so many father wounds in this country. We have so many people who you say the word Black and it just it sets something off in them and then they become blind. So people know that we've cheapened ourselves. We've made ourselves so easy, to where when you are a higher IQ intellectual thinker, they gaslight you and they guilt you because that's all they got left. They can't attack your intellect, so they try to attack your trauma. They try to attack other things. And that's why in my speech, I spoke about the generational trauma, because I don't think that in the United States, we've had an actual productive conversation about race.
Yeah.
Never been selected, because you have one side that says, never happened, get over it, so what, who cares, blah, blah, blah. And then you got the other side that's obsessed, that sees oppression in everything, that doesn't want to let it go, doesn't want to talk about it, that thinks everything is white supremacist. They say going to the gym is white supremacist. They say if you want to lose weight, it's white supremacist. It's like, whoa, we have never had a really productive conversation. People say, oh, let's not talk about race at all. I'm like, okay, so if you're going to drive on a flat tire, you think you're going to go anywhere? We just don't have the effective conversations about race in this country.
Well, honestly, personally, I believe we should be post-racial by now. You know, when you talk about race was actually, it began because it was used to divide.
Right.
So if we want to get out of the idea of division, then we need to become post-racial. It's not about black. It's not about white. We are all Americans. When you go overseas, they don't divide people by race. It's right. What country did you come from? You know, I go to Europe, you know, I go to the Caribbean. They don't see me as black. They see me as an American. Half the time, most people think I'm African. So they think I'm Nigerian or I'm from Ghana. So, you know, I say that to say we in America unfortunately, we have been an experiment by the Marxists that has actually, they've won. They've created this. They've used race to divide us. They've used the black race in particular because although slavery was done all over the world, here in America, slavery, you could tell the slaver versus the slave because one was white, one is black. But you go to the Middle East, you go to Europe, well, especially the Middle East, which Middle Eastern Arabs were the largest slaveholders in the world. And there was no distinction generally. You know, Africans enslaved, but you couldn't really make the distinction as you do here in America because we have black people, and black people were enslaved primarily in America by Europeans.
Yep.
So this is why
I'm gonna say this, KJ.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna piss some people off, and you know I don't give a damn. There are some black people that I would not want to be in a foxhole with. Number one, they're scared to carry a damn firearm. So what the hell good are they gonna do me?
Amen. Right on, Shelly. Right on.
I want to move on to this because this is actually what I think is really scary. We were talking about how the media, the liberal mainstream media, does not want to ask Kamala Harris questions. And so what we have now is a selected candidate for the Democrat candidate, Kamala Harris. Biden came out this weekend with his first interview since dropping out of the race. And take a look at what he had to say. This is clip number 4.
Let's begin with your decision. You're at your home, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, late July with your family, and you make this historic decision. Tell me the story.
Look, the polls we had showed that it was a neck-and-neck race. Would have been down to the wire. But what happened was a number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did someone, and I thought it'd be a real distraction, number one. Number two, when I ran the first time, I thought of myself as being a transition president. I can't even say how old I am. It's hard for me to get out of my mouth. And, but things got moving so quickly, it didn't happen. And the combination was that I thought it was a critical issue for me, still is, not a joke, maintaining this democracy. But I thought it was important because although it's a great honor being president, I think I have an obligation to the country to do the most important thing to do, and that is we must defeat Trump.
Wow. So
he's so hard to watch.
Yeah.
He's hard to watch.
We have a cool candidate. Tyrone, I want to get your response on this. He dropped out of the race because he thought he was going to lose. Is that part of our electoral process?
It isn't, but he dropped out of the race because his party performed a nonviolent coup on him. Okay, so Joe Biden, great defender of democracy, turned out to be a victim of Democrat democracy, their version of it, where majority rules. You know, we actually live in a republic, okay? A democracy is two wolves and a lamb deciding what to have for lunch. But that's the way the Democrats like it. They like mob rule. So when they say we're defending democracy, they mean it. But no, Joe was, you know, the victim of a coup. That party always talks about how they're going to preserve democracy, yet they took him through a primary. Sure, it wasn't the most honest primary, but it was their primary. The people said they wanted him based on that primary, based on those votes. And first sign of trouble, they said, no, you know, we're into permanent power, so we got to ditch Joe and go with someone who has not received one vote ever in a presidential contest, be it a general or primary.
Yeah. Madeline, I want to get you in on here. What's your response to what he said in that video? He was forced out.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. These people are diabolical. Yeah. They're diabolical and they're dastardly. Okay. And it's like they will do whatever they need to do. Right. First of all, we need to be asking questions about Kamala. All right. And why she covered up, you know, for Biden. Why, right. You know, she came out to the media so many times. Her and that press secretary saying that, you know, the doctors are saying that he's in 100% health and he is sharp as a tack and he's this and that. All right. So we never really got a clear explanation of why Joe Biden dropped out until just now. All right. And that scripted too. These people have script writers. They write whatever it is that they're going to say. Right. None of that stuff is authentic. None of it is in their own words. Right. It's all designed. I'm reading from a script right now. All right. In you know, and I'm looking at, you know, things that, you know, we need to be talking about Kamala, you know, a list of stuff that, you know, that I get from, you know, the campaign, that every time I go on the media or every time I speak in public, these are talking points. All right. I don't follow it, you know, I don't word for word, but, you know, I'm looking here on this list of about 100 things, you know, and one of them is, you know, we need to really focus on Kamala and what she has done in these 3.5 years and why she felt so comfortable lying to the public about Joe Biden's medical condition, all right, and him being fit to be president. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he drops out, she's just boom, just like that overnight, you know, more fit than he was. You know,
I want to get you in here, Jade, because you heard what Madeline said. They're not authentic. Everything is rehearsed. And he dropped out. Basically, he was forced out. He was forced out by the Democrat elites like Pelosi. Kamala was right there behind him,
of course,
egging him on in the beginning, and then now she's the nominee. Are everyday people getting this, Jade? Do you believe that this is getting through to the everyday person who's not listening to politics, but, you know, the independent voters that we need?
No, it's not. They don't care. They don't even care how dirty they did RFK Jr. As the day of the debate, he was the only candidate that was on all 50 ballots for all the states, and nobody cares. Everybody is about emotion. You know, I work with the public, and, you know, I'm in intimate settings with people all day, you know, and they talk to me, and, you know, they say, but Trump, but woman, but black. That's all they say. Like, people really don't get it. Look, this administration has put us in a survival mode, okay? You know, I shared in my speech, I've been working 6 days a week and I make a livable wage. I make a decent salary and I'm tired, but I have so much passion and, you know, so I'm going to, you know, be half awake and I'm still going to read something. But that's me. You know, people got their kids, their health problems. You know, they keep us in a state of high adrenaline, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, that you don't have time to think about what's going on at your school boards, at your kids, and the gender agenda. You know, that, you know, basically they did a coup on the president. You know, they don't think about these things. They're just like, yeah, whatever, you know, life goes on. You know, no, people don't get it. They don't. It's very sad. They don't.
It is. It's very sad. And Shelley,
I see in the comments here, somebody said that 14 million people voted for Biden and not Kamala. And that's the God's honest truth, right? Also, 14 million people voted in the primary that they completely ignored. Okay. So those all those 14 million Democrats who voted for Joe Biden and not Kamala, and they just, you know, installed Kamala into the presidential, you know, nominee position, you know, those 14 million votes are up for grabs. You know,
well, that's the question. That's the question. I want to get you in on this, Shelley.
That's the way I see that. You got 14 million votes up for grabs because those people have to feel disenfranchised. Right. They have to feel like their vote didn't count. When they say that the vote didn't count, those 14 million votes did not count.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And Shelley, I want to get your response to this. We have a situation here, as we saw, and these people, I mean, he said it right out of his own lips. Biden said that he was removed. I mean, basically, nobody's going to, that's not an issue for the Democrats?
No, the passage that comes to my mind is the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And that is exactly what the Democrat Party, particularly the progressive wing of the Democrat Party, this is what they've been doing. They cheat in elections. They kill people with the KKK. They destroy the same democracy that they love to purport out to the public. They are thieves. They will kill and they will destroy. They destroy cities. They destroy people's lives. You know, God bless Madeline and her family and other millions of Americans who have lost their loved ones by the violence on the street that they, you know, they placate the criminals, the violent criminals. They come to steal, kill, and destroy. This is why I also, again, I call these two thriller and killer.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we had a Ferguson, Missouri police chief speak out, I believe it was yesterday, regarding the violent protests that are happening in Ferguson again due to the 10th anniversary of the fatal shooting of Michael Brown. I have a clip of his heartbreaking testimony of what's going on there. I want you guys to take a look and then respond to this. This is what Democrat policies push.
Got out there and was my team got out there and was assaulted by a number of the protesters that were out there on the scene. As a result, one of my police officers suffered a severe brain injury. He is at an area hospital right now, fighting for his life. And I'm gonna break away a little bit from what I was planning to talk about. This police department, this Ferguson Police Department, since 2014, has been a punching bag for this community. The police department back in 2014, we don't even have them officers here anymore. So what are you protesting? These officers not even here no more. Everything that the activist community has advocated for, as far as body-worn cameras, implicit bias training, crisis intervention training, all this stuff, we have done all of this. What are we protesting? What is it? We even changed the uniforms at this police department because people said that the old uniforms trigger people. What are we doing?
What are you doing?
10 years later, I got an officer fighting for his life. It's enough, and I'm done with it. We're not doing it here in Ferguson. Our community is united behind us. Our community is fed up. We want to heal. Our community want to heal. We want people to peacefully protest, but we damn sure ain't gonna allow you to destroy this city, and we ain't gonna allow you to hurt none of these police officers.
Thank you.
My team.
Shelley, what are they protesting for?
They don't even know. All they have are worked up emotions because somebody has put a boogeyman in their mind that the police are the enemies. Not to mention that their communities, by and large, are the ones that are being destroyed by people that look like each other themselves. These police officers, God, I hope that man recovers. They're the ones who really stand in the gap between utter 100% chaos and keeping people safe to the best of their ability. Mm-hmm. But these idiots, these worked up emotions. Let me tell you something. People are dangerous when they are only running on emotion. People are dangerous. Watch out for people who only go off of emotion. They are some of the dangerous people, and I don't give a damn what their skin color is. They are dangerous.
Tyrone, we have here a situation. We know Kamala bailed out most of the protesters. Yeah. What was it, 2016? No, I'm sorry, 2020. Her running mate, we were talking about this last week.
Minnesota, yeah.
Put a video out talking about his wife said she loved to hear the burning, she loved to smell the rubber of the burning tires as these people set Minnesota on fire.
That's evil.
What is this? Why are people voting for this?
That's so evil.
Listen, I'm glad that police chief strayed away from his prepared remarks. We were talking about masculinity earlier. He went in that direction. And that's what a society needs. All right. I was talking to a friend, and we were thinking about, okay, what if the left got their way and there were no police? And he and I were remarking that, okay, well, sure, we could get along fine, but it would be a full-time job because it would be a constant battle with evil that we could not outsource to a police department. We have to take care of it ourselves. And that's just for starters. Think about the elderly, children, defenseless people. So the police are absolutely necessary. But again, if you're a Marxist and your mission is chaos, then you're going to protest even though you've already gotten everything you requested. We see that. Look, I'm trying to figure out what Black people are still fighting for. I mean, we got voting rights. We got a president. As a Black person in the space station right now. So what more do we want? They'll get you on, well, voting rights. You got this idiot, this minstrel. What's the guy with the radio show? Ricky Smiley, talking about still fighting battles that we won in the 40s. Okay. So the mindset of the Marxists is to continue to wage battles and not recognize when you've won. That's why that protest occurred. But that stuff has to stop. Hopefully they'll apprehend whoever assaulted that officer and prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah. Look, you're never going to satisfy these demons. You're just not going to do it. And what I would like to know about Ferguson is, where are the fathers in those homes? I'd like to know the rate about that. I'd like to know, because it's a culture. This is a culture issue. You know, I want to know how many fathers are out of the homes in that community, because that's something that, you know, I guarantee is correlated to the violence that keeps continuing and perpetuating over there. Nobody wants to talk about it, though.
You know, I agree that this is a culture issue, but in a different aspect. Mm-hmm. All right. A lot of these people that are out here participating in these riots and protests and burning down buildings and, you know, being disrespectful and resisting arrest and all that stuff. You know, I'm having 20 little girls jumping on one girl, beating her up and all the other kind of stuff. The stuff that we see, you know, on TikTok. All right. And the stuff that we see on Instagram, those videos that are going viral. I have a 21-year-old son. Thank God he had a good mind to go into a military, and now he's 82nd Airborne paratrooper. So he got out of the South Bronx, you know, but I asked him, I said, Ayumi, what is it about, you know, why you kids of your generation, why do you guys act like that? He said, because it's cool, Ma. It's cool. And also social media.
Amen.
Right? These videos is an extension of their hand. All right. And when they can post something on TikTok or Instagram and they get likes and shares and clicks, right? It does something and it makes them feel important. They have a little 5 minutes of fame, all right? And the more egregious, the more outrageous things that they can do, the more likes and shares that they get, all right? It's not even that they, number one, somebody said it, they don't believe in what they're protesting or fighting for, but they know that somebody's camera is going 24/7, all right? And that they're going to be on a video somewhere, all right? Not knowing that that's the first thing the police look for is social media to see who is involved in this kind of stuff, right? They don't care about getting locked up because there's laws in place that say that they can't be prosecuted, that they're not going to be held accountable for the for their acts, for the crimes that they commit. But my son, all right, a 21-year-old kid from the South Bronx said the reason why they do it is because it's fun, all right, and also because of social media for likes, shares, and clicks. They have
I want to jump in on that because I want to get you in here, Shelly, but I want to first have you respond to this father. This is a father on the left, Ricky Smiley, who came out and he had some comments to make about Trump. I think this was either yesterday or today. Take a look at this.
Tim Walz, I already know the answer to that question.
Always.
Are you excited about Tim Walz? I already know the answer to that question.
Always.
What excites you the most about him?
Just that he's just a regular, like he reminds you of your high school principal. He reminds you of your high school football coach, and he was a football coach that led his team to a national, not national, but to a state championship. And he is just awesome. He's for the people. He stand up for women's rights, and he's a popular governor in the great state of Minnesota, which Trump won in 2016. That state was picked off by Joe Biden, and I think we'll definitely get his state and the state of Pennsylvania as well. Either one of those governors would have been a great choice for Kamala Harris. I'm just sick of the black people on the internet talking about I'm not with her. Okay, so if you're not with her, that means you with Trump. And y'all need to block every last one of their asses on Facebook and on Instagram and social media and stop. Like that's just garbage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, it's funny.
Vicky Whiny. Shelly, what's your response there?
Wow.
Well, look, yes, I am for Trump, Ricky. You can, whatever you want, block him or whatever. But you know what? When I was watching that, let me tell you what just came to my mind. He just disproved the argument for most black people that they are focused on race, because this is a white man. If race was important to black people like they claim it is, this wouldn't matter. Tim Walz would not be at the top of the list, and Kamala Harris wouldn't either. This is why I say, or at least one of the reasons why I say that leftism is a religion. They are bought and sold by this ideology. Race is just the cover, if you will, the veneer. But these people are what we've been saying all night, Marxists. They're not even socialists anymore. We are beyond the socialism part. We are in the communist Marxist cycle, and all they want to do is destroy. Ricky Smiley will probably never be affected by the crap that he puts out. Other black people will, that are following him, mindlessly. And Madeline, something I want to add to you. You said this was an extension of their hands. Actually, I think it's an extension of their minds, because this is really the mind. They're not using this. They're using this to think for them.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't you think that having effective parents in the home would then regulate some of this?
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I definitely agree with everything Miss Madeline saying. I think it all. Yeah. I just want to ask you.
Let me tell you something. As I was struggling with my son to get him through high school, right? I had to snatch the plugs out of the walls. I had to take hinges off of doors. I had to go down to the school and monitor him because, he was pen tapping and being disruptive. So I actually busted through the door in school and popped him upside of his head in front of everybody, took all his pencils. Any kids who laughed, I took their pencils too. All right. I'm the PTA mom. All right. I'm the mom from hell, because I'm older. I had them at 40. All right. So, I have other children, but I heard you speak about drugs earlier. All right. But I went through the crack era. I'm a product of the crack era. All right. And I had four children during that time. All right. And I abandoned them all. I abandoned all four of those children. All right. And when I had my last son, Ayumi, I was 40 years old. So that was at a time in my life where I was ready to actually be a mom. Right. I was emotionally mature enough and I wanted a child. Because the other four, were raised by other people, although they were family members, all right, and I was in their life, I still did not have, them with me, all right. So I was that PTA mom, all right, that a lot of these young men and these young women who are in 18, 19, 20 years old, they didn't have that because their mothers or their parents are the same age as they are almost.
No, right? You're right. Because when I was growing up, I was a kid in the 80s. Yeah. And when I would act up, I'd get my butt popped and the TV unplugged. There's no accountability anymore. Unfortunately, my generation, I'm a late Gen Xer. We too busy trying to be friends with our kids. I watch how my friends parent their kids and I'm like, my mom would have popped me for that. You can't do that now. It's abuse. Yeah. It's trauma. It's there's no accountability anywhere anymore. So I commend you, Miss Madeline, for being a good mom. That's how you should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to continue with this just a little bit further here. This man is crazy. Take a look at more of what he said.
Who? Smiley?
Yeah.
He's like he's rich.
Can't agree on a damn bucket of chicken. One person want a hot dog.
I always complain.
Black folks get on my damn nerves, man. Why everybody making all these celebrities making all these videos going off on Kamala Harris and stuff, and then the black men, Kamala Harris didn't prosecute you and treated you bad in court. I got treated bad in court too, but I'm with her because a vote for her. If you sit at home and you don't support her, you are definitely supporting Donald Trump. You can vote for who you want to, but don't be trying to encourage other people and sit up there and put bad stuff. Where's that same energy for Donald Trump?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm just like, don't vote for him. It is what it is.
Y'all not even out here doing real research to look at her record. If you do the research or whatever, stop believing everything you read and do real research, you can see what a record is. You can see what she have done. I think you can Google what have Kamala Harris done for the black community or things that black people benefit from a lot. We need to stand with her.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hi, caramba.
Look.
Please.
Tyrone, where are they going to look?
This great value Sambo is what Malcolm X warned us about. Okay. This is what Malcolm X warned us about. These comedians, athletes. Okay. Deigning to direct the way in which black people define their political destiny. All right. Nothing he said made sense. Absolutely nothing. I've never paid any attention to him. I understand he dresses up like an old woman for some shtick that he does. Maybe we've got, life imitating art. Because I used to give a pass to folk who experienced like the pre-civil rights legislation. I used to give them a pass, but it's gotten crazy. And where they're actually now doing things that are detrimental, especially politically, to the black community. So no longer do I give anyone a pass, okay? There are no more segregated water fountains. Somebody in the comments, when I said we don't recognize when we've won, somebody in the comments said I haven't won a damn thing. Look, what you have won is the ability to go out and stake your claim, okay? And not to mention, you might want to read Black Fortunes because there were plenty of slaves, former slaves who became millionaires. So what excuse we've ever had in this modern era, I'll never know. But we've won the right to have an equal playing field. I'm so sick of hearing about, the white man is keeping me down and white privilege. If these white people had privilege, the poorest county in America would not be predominantly white.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's more this victim mentality, though. You live in America, okay? Go study the former Yugoslavia, Cuba, Venezuela. Go study North Korea. Go study some of these other places that have true socialists and communists where you talk about, oh, my farm. No, it's our farm now, where you will own nothing.
It's
brats here. We're brats in America. We're brats.
What he said, right? Only thing that three things that he said that stood out for me to prove that he is he's a gatekeeper. He's a gatekeeper, number one, all right, and he's only doing that because he's trying to get paid. All right, there's money to be made off of this Kamala Harris stuff. Okay, he referenced a bucket of chicken. Right, all right. That's directly a derogatory statement towards Black people.
Yep.
Right. Number two, he said, these Black people. All right. That's another derogatory statement. Right. And then there's something else that he said. But what really sticks out for me is the bucket of chicken. Why would he need to say that in reference to anything that any message, anything that he's trying to, say? Just like the gentleman here said, whatever he said made no sense. He sounded like Kamala Harris, like word salad, all right, like jibber jabber, all right, like what the hell is she even saying? What is she trying to say? What is she trying to say? But Smiley, D.L. Hughley, all those guys, right, are past their prime. All right, past their prime in the entertainment business. They're grasping at whatever little money, whatever little Taraji B. Henson with the Project 25, all that stuff, all right? All those guys, all those women who are jumping on the Kamala Harris bandwagon, all right, are there to try to make money. Megan Thee Stallion, people don't even like her music. All right. People don't appreciate her for nothing that she's done. All right. But she made a couple of dollars off of that. She made something off of that. And now she's back. She's become relevant. These people are trying to stay relevant. Right.
Now, I want to jump in here. I have to acknowledge our super chatters. I do have to acknowledge our super chatters here. Guys, thank you so much. All right, we have here Chadwick says, Jade, if you're here after the show, ask the ladies what my wife and I did to our daughter for hiding social media from us. I promise you parents like us probably don't exist anymore if they do. Thank you so much, Chadwick.
Good job, Chadwick. I just wanted to add to what Miss Madeline said. Look, the Ricky Smileys, the Charlemagne the God, all those people, they're just the new overseers. That's all they are.
That's what they are. Absolutely. Caesar Jackson, thank you so much, Caesar. All right, Gail, thank you. We certainly appreciate you, Gail. Kenzie14 says, crazy thing is we are not certain that Kamala is the true nominee. We certainly are not. We still have not had the Democrat convention.
That's next week, right?
Well, put it like this, Kenzie. According to the Democrats, their rule is when they want your opinion, they'll give it to you.
That's right. Yeah.
Well said, Shelley. Wait, I think the DNC is next week, correct?
It's the last week in August, I thought. I'm not sure.
The Black Chicagoans are threatening to protest that whole entire the whole entire convention. Yep.
I hope they do.
Yep.
They should.
Well, we see what's going on, and again, we have people like Ricky Smiley who are these elite Blacks that are here, bought and paid for, here to push on an agenda, the Democrat agenda. This is their playbook. And then we have the media. The media is also they're the propagandic tool for the Democrat Party. And they were all ready to go this weekend. But J.D. Vance gave it to them. I want you guys to take a look at this clip of J.D. Vance speaking on CNN. Take a look here.
I criticized his lying about his own record, okay? This is a guy who was captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video, as other people say he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service. I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain, Dana. You've now asked me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden's middle facility for the office. You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real interview.
Believe me, we are asking. You're not going to get a disagreement there.
But the point is, Dana, you've got me for 15 minutes or however long you have me. We should be talking about public policies that matter. How are we going to lower inflation? How are we going to reduce the cost of food and housing? How are we going to close down that southern border? We've talked so little about that. We've talked a lot more about a sarcastic remark I made 3 years ago. I think we should talk about the issues that most Americans care. Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is.
So I want to stop it there. So you see, and that clip didn't show Dana Bush constantly pushing back on him as if she's working for Kamala Harris campaign.
It's not as if it is. It's not as if.
She is. Literally. Exactly, Shelley. And see, this is why I like, I didn't really know how I felt about J.D. Vance until that very moment. That actually made me say, all right, now I see why Trump picked him. I really liked him. Reminds me of Kari Lake. You know, Kari Lake used to be a news journalist out here in Arizona about 10 years ago. I remember watching her in my 20s when I lived out here the first time, you know, and she's another one too. If you watch our press conference, you know, well, I don't know if it was actually featured in anything you would have seen, but when we were taking questions from the journalists, she called them out. There was one time, I'll be really brief with this. There was a press conference she did with a bunch of families who suffered violence. And they said, do you think that your statements are racist? And she goes, Black families don't like violence either. Who do you think you are? Stop being divisive. You know, you think Black moms want to see their kids, Mexican, white moms, like stop it. So I think it's really important for these people to call out the media because they're not really journalists. They are social propagandists. If you look at Edward Bernays' stuff, you know, they're propagandists. You know, they have learned how to trigger our brains and our traumas and our fears to make us think they've conditioned us. I've spoken to people who have repeatedly said things verbatim that I heard on a news channel. No independent thought anymore. They're, like Shelley said, they're going to tell you what to think.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the clip actually where she's butting in on this, and I want you guys to take a look because this is absurd. What Dana Bash did during this interview. I want you to take a look here.
I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to
back it up. I actually have the clip here, producer. I have the clip here. I'm sharing my screen. Take a look here. Okay, 1 second. There we are. All right.
When he left the National Guard, he filed his election paperwork February 10th, 2005. That was a month before the National Guard even announced that it was possible that they would deploy to Iraq, and it ended up being 2 months. He retired 2 months before they actually got the paperwork.
But on CNN last night, Dana, one of the people who was actually in charge of him said they knew they were going to deploy to Iraq in February of 2004, fall of 2004. So he knew he was going to Iraq. He decided to quit, to retire, whatever word you want to use.
Retire.
Retire.
So she's correcting him. Right. This is ridiculous. I'm going to go on.
Wanted to run for Congress. He lied about that. He said that when he decided to retire, he did not know that he was going to Iraq. That is another untruth, as even his senior military officer said. So again, I'm not criticizing the service. I'm criticizing the dishonesty. Dishonesty spoken in favor and for the purpose of political benefit. And I think that the most important thing here, Dana, is it goes to Kamala Harris's judgment. Tim Walz is ultimately going to be the vice president. Kamala Harris is in great health. I'm sure she's going to be president if she wins for 4 or maybe even 8 years. Why did Kamala Harris choose a person who has lied about their military service? I think that is a serious lapse in judgment. And I don't want to hear from a campaign spokesperson of Kamala Harris. I want to hear Kamala Harris herself address what I just said.
You know, I've seen a lot of statements from veterans, including those you served with, saying it's just untoward to be criticizing somebody who served for 24 years.
So he literally just said he was not criticizing his service. He was criticizing
in
the
front
fact
of one audience, she pretends to be something.
He lied about his actual service, and she responds with that.
That's because they can't back out.
Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna get Tyrone.
Tyrone.
I think you guys know this. I haven't watched local network or cable news it's almost 14 years now. Now I will see clips, okay, but I don't sit down and watch any of that program. I don't even have cable TV. This is nothing more than Orwell's Ministry of Truth, okay? It's a gigantic propaganda machine. And look, some people might like this, but Fox News Nation controlled opposition to make people believe they have the illusion of choice, okay? I would encourage people, listen, I do a YouTube channel, I do a local politics television show, do programs like this. I've written for USA Today magazine, and I don't watch the news. And I would dare say I'm probably more informed than the average American. So you can get what you need. First of all, you are only interested in a narrow suite of subjects, not everything they bring on the news. Local news is who got shot. All right, political corruption, sports, weather. We'll do it again at 11. All right, so you don't need this type of propaganda in your life. Take away their power, take away Dana Bash's power by not paying any attention to her or her ilk.
Yeah, I totally agree. I want to get you in on this, Madeline. I want you to respond to this next section of this clip. One moment, please. Take a look here.
Dana, I'm not interested in the ad hominem. I've heard from a lot of veterans groups who criticize Tim Walz. The question is, he said he served in war and he didn't. That is a dishonesty. I couldn't care less what one or the other person says about it. I care about what the truth is. The truth is that Tim Walz didn't tell the truth.
Absolutely.
And importantly, Dana, this is about Kamala Harris's judgment. And I think that when you ask, why has Kamala Harris allowed the border to be wide open? Why has Kamala Harris supported policies that have promoted the increase in inflation? I think it goes to the heart of her judgment, and I think that that's what we should be talking about.
One last question. Donald Trump didn't serve in the military. He received a medical draft deferment to avoid serving in the Vietnam War, reportedly as a favor to his father. Do you find that shameful too?
I think that Donald Trump didn't serve in the military, but he didn't lie about it, Dana. I've known Donald Trump for a long time. He really honors our veterans. He honors me for my service.
This, Madeline, first of all, this has been discussed time and time again. Before Donald Trump became president, this has been discussed. This is just bad journalism. It is very bad. Madeline, what's your response?
You know, I've been on the news enough. I've been on many news programs. You know, it's all about sensation. It's all about ratings. It's all about, doing the most sensational story. All right. The reason why she heard what J.D. Vance said. She heard what he said. But she, like every other thing, it's all scripted. They have this stuff written down in front of them. All right. Her objective is to get there and to try to flip the fact that Walz lied. All right. And J.D. Vance was calling it out. Her objective was to flip it and take the focus off of Walz and put it on Trump.
Right.
Right. And I like what J.D. Vance said. He said, but Trump didn't lie about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's the point right there. And that speaks to the whole heart of the whole entire, ball of wax here. People are being disingenuous, all right, and hypocritical. And it makes you question their character and their integrity. Why would we want someone running our country who they're from right out the gate, all right? Their character and their integrity is in question. People may not like Trump, right? Because of the way he talks. However, All right. He's going to tell you the cold, hard, ugly truth.
Amen.
And that's going to hurt your feelings. And that's what people don't like about him. However, at least you can trust him to tell you the damn truth.
Right. Absolutely.
See, I'm like Tyrone. I don't even own a TV. I won't watch it because I think it rots your brain. I'd rather read or listen to a podcast or something like that. You have to realize that the big cable networks are owned by Vanguard and BlackRock, which are social engineers.
Yeah.
You know, they create a narrative and they implement it into the society based on how they want things to move. Study psychology, study social psychology. You will see it everywhere. Yeah. And, you know, I know some people, you know, criticize me for mentioning occult and witchcraft, but that's what they all are. Start looking into it. You know, witchcraft is power, domination, and control. Because remember, the Lord gives us free will, right? So who are you to take somebody's free will from them? Well, ask these big corporations and these players that you can't even see. You can't even see these people. You don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
That's who's controlling the news stations. That's why they're all on code. There's a reason for that. And that's why when you look at Rumble, which is an independent platform that YouTube is a rival with, they're constantly trying to get rid of that platform because there's rules and regulations they don't have to abide by, so they can say certain things. They're always in trouble. That's why Russell Brand had to move over there, you know? So we are being played and punked out is what it really is.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Jade. And you know, and that's what I always say. This idea of Marxism, this idea that the Democrats are pushing is demonic. And one of the 45 goals of the Communist Party was to infiltrate the press, get control of book reviews, assignments, editorial writing, policy making positions, the press, and also one or both parties, and infiltrate them. And this is exactly what we're seeing now. And you brought up a very good point that we've actually haven't made here before. The idea of control. As we know, God gives us free will, but the enemy wants control. He comes to rob, steal, lie. And so that's all about control. That's all about taking over our free will. And that is demonic.
We're in spiritual warfare. Make no mistake. You know, I mean, even if we get blessed enough where, you know, God does use Trump to help our nation, our work is not over yet. We still got souls to bring to the kingdom. We still have healing to do with each other and the Black community, with white people. You know, that's why I refuse to play into this thing that the Democrats, you know, they talk about the greatest threat to America is white supremacy. How and where? That's my question. Where? I mean, most crime is intra-racial anyway. And that goes for everybody because we're usually around each other the most, you know? So that's fear mongering too. But, you know, I think it was Miss Shelley who said earlier, I'm sorry, but white people just don't think about us like that. You know, we a lot of us, not us on the panel, but, you know, a lot of our brothers and sisters who need some healing, they spend so much time using white people as a scapegoat for their own failures. Right. So I'm just not going to do it. You know, I mean, I personally have some amazing relationships with a lot of white folks, and some of them are, you know, good old boys, Southern rednecks. Yes. You know, they're the biggest gentlemen. Okay, they're the fastest ones to change a tire, open up your car door, buy you dinner. I mean, just all this fear mongering. We're, like I said in my speech, we're so much more alike than we are different. You know, and when the ship sinks, we are all going down with it. It don't matter if you're Black, white, LGBT, ABCD, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're all going down on the same boat, and that's why I'm voting.
Well, a lot of Black women will definitely go down because, you know, they don't want to get in the water and get their hair messed up. But
you're wrong for that, Shelley.
Listen, they keep following Kamala Harris right over the cliff into the ocean.
Right. One of the things I wanted to say about that clip with Dana Bash with JD. First, I'm going to say I follow my brother's footsteps here. I don't have cable TV, haven't had it for almost 20 years, right? I have one TV in my house, and it's in the basement, right? But So, like you, Tyrone, I followed my brother's footsteps there. But one of the things that dawned on me, again, when she was talking to Jade Vance, she's basically saying how dishonorable it is to criticize a veteran. But let me say this to you, Dana. You're talking to the wrong people. How about you take your little skinny ass down to the local VA and talk to the World War II and Korean War veterans and ask them what they think of someone lying about their military service. Ask those veterans who have PTSD and who can't sleep at night because they have so many horrors running through their mind. Ask the veterans who have limbs that are missing, left over on battlefields over in the Korea and Vietnam and any other place. Why don't you ask these people if it's honorable or dishonorable for someone to placate or lie about their military service and whatever rank they had? Ask these people and see what they'll say.
Come on, sis. Come on.
Yeah.
I'll go you one better. Come to New York, all right, and ask the veterans that are laying in the street. The homeless veterans, they put the illegals in 5-star hotels, all right, and they left our veterans out in the street on the sidewalk in the middle of winter, all right, and for year after year after year, right? So that's real good. What you just said, if we really want to find out what the veterans really feel, let's ask the real veterans, all right, the real veterans.
Come on, Madeline.
You're absolutely right. I want to tap in before we close up tonight to Elon Musk's interview with Trump.
I was going to say
technical difficulties, but I think they were actually able to get it going. I believe we have a little bit of it here.
To arrest violent criminals who could kill you and do kill you sometimes, and then you arrest the violent criminal, and then the DA, doesn't prosecute and that's let the guy out. Yeah. Well, then, why should a police officer risk their life to arrest a violent felon?
Well, even worse, Elon,
nothing's going to happen.
Even worse, they prosecute the police officer. They go after it and they prosecute the police officer and they take away his pension. They take away his job. He loses his family. He loses his house.
Well, I thought it was very telling, incredibly telling that, when there was that case where, sort of a gang of thugs beat up police officers. I think it was in Times Square in New York.
Yeah.
And,
you know about it, man.
And then nothing happened to those guys. They were let out, zero bail, and I think a bunch of them were given free tickets to California. Well, what is that is a gross indignity against the United States, and that's how. This is insane. Have we lost all pride? How can such a thing be allowed to occur?
I've never seen anything. We see where they get shot. It's a very dangerous profession, but it's something they're very proud of, and they want to be able to do their job. But I've seen them get shot. I've seen a lot of things. But I've never seen where these guys are standing in the middle of a big street, everybody watching them, and they're literally boxing, punching, stand-up fighting a police officer. There were two of them. And you had about six of these guys, and they're punching the hell out of them. And in their own country, they would be dead if they did that. They'd be shot.
Yes.
They would be shot instantly. And, they come from these countries, and it's taking them a while to realize that we don't do that in this country. But in their own country, if they stood on a street and had a fight with a police officer, they would be shot. There's no political correctness. And it's such a sad, it's such a sad thing to see. And that's the reason you have crime, by the way, because we don't do anything about it.
And
we just cannot have a situation where our police officers are beaten up on camera by a gang of illegal immigrants, and then nothing happens to the guys that beat up the cops, and they're let out. This is unacceptable.
Well, we're going to change it, and we're going to get them out of the country. When I first got involved, they said you couldn't get them back to these countries. You couldn't take them back. In the case of Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, some others, you couldn't get them back. And I said, really? Oh, you can't get them back? Because under Obama, he couldn't get them back. They'd fly them in, and they'd put planes on the runways in these countries so you couldn't land a plane. They'd bring them back. And the generals told me, sir, we can't bring them back. The countries won't accept MS-13 gang members. They won't accept them. And I said, really, how much do we pay these various countries in terms of economic aid, which is also somewhat ridiculous. And the answer was $750 million. I said, good. Tell them they're in default. They're delinquent. We're not paying them anymore because they won't accept it. And you know what happened? They all called me, every one of them. They said, we would be honored to take them back, sir. We would be honored.
Yeah. I want to, Madeline, you said this is actually happening.
Every single day. Every single day. Every single day. It's, I commute every day on Long Island Railroad into Penn Station, 34th Street, right? And this is in Midtown Manhattan. And this is where they dumped all of the illegals in all these 5-star hotels. Midtown Manhattan, Times Square, 42nd Street, Herald Square, used to be the tourist capital of the world. People are coming here for vacation, during Christmas time, to see the ball drop, during the summer to go shopping, Broadway to see the shows. First of all, Black Lives Matter, those riots, all right? They destroyed our city, all right? A lot of the businesses closed and left. Then we had COVID, all right? And a lot of the rest of the businesses just left. All right, just left the city, period. It was abandoned. And when we came back to work, when the city opened back up, we had all these illegals, people just laying all over the sidewalks. Eric Adams actually herded the Africans, the West Africans, behind barricades on the sidewalk like cattle, all right, and had them laying on there with those silver blankets. Did anybody see that when they had the kids in the cages? Okay, this is how these West Africans lived for a few months. You're right. They put the Hispanics into the 5-star hotels first. All right, they gave them all the services, and left the West Africans outside. The West Africans are still outside. They're still outside, but they moved them up to Harlem, and they moved some of them to Queens and to Brooklyn. All right, but the Hispanics have taken over, Manhattan, and they have no respect for the police whatsoever.
Let me ask you, because we have a commenter here who is saying, she says, Quarter Crawley says, hello, there are dirty cops. Let's be clear.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there are some dirty cops.
I mean,
you're gonna have that everywhere. You're gonna have dirty cops everywhere.
Doctors, come on now. We don't say get rid of all medical services because there's some bad doctors who have malpractice suits.
Right.
The institution of
go ahead.
The institution of policing is a microcosm of society, just like every other profession. Yes, industry. You will find some bad apples. And it is true that when you find a bad apple in the police department, it can be particularly dangerous. However, to paint the institution with a broad look, you wouldn't be able to walk outside if all cops were dirty. Okay.
Yep.
The other thing is the significance of Elon doing that interview is the way America is going, again, on a Marxist trajectory. We're not going to look like the Soviet Union. We're going to look like South Africa. And Elon knows it, okay? And if you look at what's happening in South Africa, there are a lot of parallels to what's going on in the United States today. A lot of racial strife, okay, built on their history. There's a crisis of competence that looks a lot like DEI here, all right? Where they can't even run desalination plants effectively, which is where they get their water. They got to call in the Germans for help with that because they tried, like Zimbabwe, giving away some farmland. People didn't know what the hell to do with it. So we're in danger of looking like that in 20 years. And Elon, being a South African, he knows this.
I want to add to Tyrone. I don't know if y'all are aware about the controversy behind the stream, how the EU sent Elon Musk a warning that they're going to potentially prosecute him if he airs this interview. Now, why would the EU be able to tell the United States to censor themselves? This goes back to something a lot of us said a while back about the propaganda, the censorship, and trying to socially engineer us to be a certain way. They don't even want Europeans to hear what Trump is saying because of what's happening in the UK right now. You know,
Right.
this is why it's important to pay attention to other first world countries, because what's happening in the UK is what they're trying to bring over here. You know, I don't know if you guys are aware of what's happening in the UK, but some of these illegal migrants definitely have caused a lot of chaos and drama. They stabbed 3 or 4 little girls to death at a Taylor Swift dance recital, I think it was.
Yeah, it's a lot going on over there. Yeah. Tyrone, to your point about South Africa, I thought also, the Chinese are heavily, I guess I would say, infiltrated in Africa as well. So there's that part of that communist angle too. So
yeah. And it's scary stuff. And this is, again, why the Marxists, why the Democrat Party pushes this idea of race baiting, of, this DEI, pushing this idea of Black against white, oppressed against oppressor, and things like that. Because then, as you mentioned, this is what they're already doing in South Africa. So this is a way to push Marxism, reach us on a level of racial identity, of class identity, and then they can divide us up as Marxists do.
And with the border, check it out. Did you know that in Ireland right now, the most popular male name is currently Mohammed? Did you know that in Ireland?
Well, we've seen, as you mentioned, we did a show on this last week about the UK. I mean, they've really seen a large change in their population due to this unchecked illegal immigration. That's
what I want to do here. It's crazy that people don't get what's happening, that our entire life is about to be done.
When you have a population of 8 billion people that live on the continent of Africa, right? 8 billion. We have, 200, 300 million people here? Million people. They have 8 billion people that live on the continent of Africa, right? First of all, it's extremely overpopulated. And those people, especially the men, and they're poor. I'm very close to, I have a really good friend from Ghana, right? And he goes every couple of years, to Accra, but his family is from Kumasi. I don't know if anybody is familiar with Ghana, right? Kumasi, in the village is very, very poor, one of them dirt poor, but the city of Accra is extremely rich, right? So it's something like here, the economic structure is built like ours, you have the haves and the have-nots, right? But out of those 8 billion people that live on the continent of Africa, the majority of them are the have-nots. All right, so their objective is to get to another country. The ultimate is to get to America, because they think that America, that money grows on trees. All right, the American dream. They think if they come here that they will automatically start to make money and they'll get a house and all. And that's basically what the Democrats did when they had this open border. All right, because that's the thinking that most of the people who came here thought that they were promised that. They were promised that when they got here, right? And then when they got here, they saw that that's not what it was. So this is why now they are all disgruntled and they're being disrespectful and they're doing all kinds of stuff because they were lied to. All right. And the reason why they were allowed to come in here, Kamala said it herself, all right, is to secure and solidify the Democratic voter base.
There it goes.
Right? That's why they are here. That's why they let them in. But they lied to get them here. Right. But Trump said it. He said, why is the United States allowing the worst of the worst from other countries to come here?
There it is.
People who are released from prison, who are released from their insane asylums, people that they don't even want in their own country. Why are we letting them people in ours? And Kamala gave us the answer to solidify the Democratic voter base.
That's it.
That's what it is.
Preaching.
I really hope people open their eyes and open their minds and realize this, because this is exactly what's going on. And a lot of people within our community, unfortunately, are voting for their demise. They are voting for their demise. So that wraps it up for us. I do want to acknowledge our super chatters here tonight. We have some additional super chatters to acknowledge. Kung Fu CJ, thank you so much. As you guys are awesome tonight. I can't wait to be on. All right, send us. We have a link on our website. So if you want to be a guest co-host, certainly check us out there, and we will reach out to you. Krista, thanks so much, Krista.
Hi,
Krista. Jade, I'm so excited seeing you here tonight.
Thank you for having me. And I just want to say, Miss Madeline,
sorry. It's so nice meeting you. And Madeline, love and God bless to you all, my brothers and sisters.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you for all the love, Krista. And I want to say that just to give you some good news, most of the comments that I've been getting have been so positive about my speech. I want to give you a brief story. I won't out the person, but there is somebody who is involved in politics who told me that his brother and him, they were estranged because the brother is really lefty and he's more on the right. And the brother saw my speech and actually called him and wants to talk about reconciling and healing their relationship. Okay. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Yeah. And, of course there's, you don't have two Black parents because you're too light-skinned. You probably had a bunch of abortions. You're being paid. I mean, there's that negativity, but I've chosen to mostly not address it because I know the truth. God knows the truth. God knows that I came to that Trump office after working at a hard day's work, and I just came in with pure intentions, and I was praying to the Holy Spirit the whole time that if he wanted to use me as a vessel to speak based on my journey, that's what I would do. He knows that. So, people are gonna, they're gonna say whatever makes them feel good. But, I'm just really glad that I met y'all, and, just good to know, refreshing that there's some intelligent people here that get it. And Miss Madeline, I want to give you my love. I'm from 149th Street and the Grand Concourse originally.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't there for long. I don't really have an accent anymore.
The dirty South Bronx.
Yeah, right across the street from Lincoln Hospital. You know what I'm saying? And
I know exactly where it is.
And my mentor earlier is from Buffalo. So we got a bunch of Northeasterners here. But I just want to send y'all some love, just thank you. God bless all of you.
Thank you.
And final thoughts, guys. I want to get your final thoughts, Tyrone.
Oh, I've enjoyed being a part of the panel as always. I would encourage people to check out Soldiers of Finance on YouTube. I think you'll like what you see. And just, a last thought on the issues that are going on in Europe, the UK, Ireland right now. Mehmet and Saladin, they didn't even have to wage war in their westward expansion. All they had to do was wait. And the Europeans would have just given it up.
Absolutely. All right. Madeline, final thoughts for you. Quick final thought.
Yeah. I had a conversation with someone earlier. United States is currently being drawn into 3 major conflicts around the world, with Iran, the Iranians dropping bombs on Israel, as soon as today, and United States sending warships over there. Last week, Russia warships, bombed some of our ships. So being a mother of an active duty, paratrooper, needless to say that, I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned about, the state of our country being sucked into wars. And if, God forbid, Kamala Harris, were to win this presidency, she would enact the draft. Okay. And all of her LGBTQ buddies, right? And all of our Black men will be the first on that line and will be the first on the front line. All right. She will send our children overseas to fight in the quote unquote white man's war to die. All right. So, and this is what's in the forefront of a lot of people's mind today, all right, is that United States is being sucked into another military combat conflict overseas. This makes number 3. Number 3, if Trump were in office, all right, none of this would be happening. I mean, none of it would be happening, all right? Because he would negotiate he would negotiate and make deals with these people, all right, that they could not refuse. Just like you just heard him say when he was talking to Elon, all right, about taking those illegals back. You know, well, how much money are we paying them? $750 million. Okay, well, let's stop the funding. And now let's see what they're going to do. Now let's see. And this is how these conflicts can be ended at the drop of a hat. Stop the funding. Cut off the spigot of money. All right. And let's see what these other world leaders are going to do. I don't want to see our sons and daughters go into war. All right. Because they're going to die. Our children are going to die. And Kamala Harris and Waltz are going to waltz us right into World War III.
Yep. Shelley, final thoughts tonight. It's been a great show.
I'm going to say what I usually say. Stand up, show up, strap up, and speak up.
All right. Yeah. All right. And final thoughts for me. Thank you all for watching tonight. We will be back on Wednesday live in the studio this Wednesday, as we always are, for more hot topics and talking about politics and culture from a conservative perspective. So join us on Wednesday at 8 p.m. right here. We are here to awake the lions. We are no longer talking to sheep. We are here to awake the lions. Our mantra for 2024 is to be aware and prepare. So we want to be aware of what's going on and what to do. You must prepare. And this is what we're here to do. So guys, share this broadcast on your social media. Share it on Reddit. You know, if you guys are on Reddit, that's a great way to share our broadcast there. Share the link, share it in a DM. And subscribe. If you have not already subscribed, certainly subscribe. That way we can, get our message out there. We're a community now. We've talked a lot about the Bible tonight. Guys, we are living in a time where it's going to be we're the remnant. We're the remnant. There's not going to be many of us.
No, and we need to be praying and fasting as well.
Right. Absolutely.
Praying and fasting.
Right. Continue to pray, continue to fast, and share this broadcast. And because again, we're not fighting against flesh and blood. We're fighting, it's a spiritual warfare. And we need to call it what it is and pray and fight against it. And that's what we're here to do. Amen. Spread love, spread truth. So again, we will see you guys on Wednesday. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
God bless y'all. Good night.